The Sports Renegades podcast on SportsTownChicago.com. All right, welcome back to the Sports Renegades, SportsTownChicago.com. I'm Ryan Stuprich.
And I'm Ryan Risky.
We are, right now, we're going to talk about sort of the MLB baseball races and everything that's going on there, because it's been pretty crazy, especially when you look at the American League Wildcard. There are really only 4 teams that are out of it.
Right. I mean, it's probably one of the better wildcard races we've had. There's 6 teams that are within 4.5 games of that second wild card.
Yeah, Toronto is pretty much done. They're 11 under 500. Wow, that's pretty surprising.
Yeah, it seemed like they might have turned the corner a little bit, and then they got swept by the Cubs.
Yeah, the Cubs kind of ruined their chances. That's true. Detroit, Oakland, and the White Sox are also out.
Right,
of it.
And speaking of Detroit, them and the Angels just made a trade. The Angels are 1.5 games out of the second wild card. They're the closest team to the Twins.
Yeah.
The Tigers just traded Justin Upton to the Angels.
Right. I heard that was going to be close to becoming official. So.
That is official now, and
boy, that really helps them.
That's a massive boost.
It's a huge power upgrade for a team that pretty much just has Trout and Pujols, and that's it.
Right, I mean, that's a big upgrade for literally nothing. They sent one minor leaguer back. I mean, it was more of Detroit trying to just get something, desperation to get something, because there were indications that Justin Upton was going to opt out of his deal due to the rebuild.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy how the Angels have made their way all the way up. I mean, when you have Trout on your team, anything's possible. But guys like Andrelton Simmons and even Luis Valbuena, guys like that have been stepping up.
Right. I mean, and another thing to throw in is their starting pitching has been better than you would think. Parker Bridgewell has been phenomenal since he's been moved into the rotation, and this is a rotation that's been operating without its ace all season in Garrett Richards.
Yeah, and of course Andrew Heaney just came back.
Right, and Tyler Skaggs came back not that long ago. Matt Shoemaker's missed time with injuries, and the thing is they don't have much pitching depth. However, they've been able to make it work, and J.C. Ramirez was able to give them a boost mid-season before kind of falling off a little. And they don't really have much depth to survive these injuries, and they've been able to find someone that could give them a few good starts until somebody were to come back. And also, the thing that's going to hurt them for the wild card is, one, they probably won't have their ace. It's still up for debate whether Garrett Richards can return this season, and if he does, I don't know if he's a guy you would consider for that wild card game, just due to the fact that he just started throwing a ball recently and has only made one start this year. Yeah,
that's a good point. The team right behind them, they're 2 games back, and the Angels are 1.5 games back. The wild card leaders, by the way, the Yankees have half a game lead over Minnesota, which is another interesting story to how Minnesota's been able to crawl up and be in the wild card.
Well, what's
spot.
Crazy about that is Minnesota traded for Jaime Garcia, and then they said they weren't committed to being buyers at the time. They were waiting to see how it went. They lost a couple of games. He made one start, and then they decided they were going to be sellers, so they trade him to the Yankees. And now,
they traded Brandon Kinsler to the Nationals, didn't they?
They did. That was their closer.
Yeah. Now they got Matt Belisle closing or something.
Yeah. So what's funny about that? They decided to be sellers. They trade Jaime Garcia to the Yankees, who are the team that are half a game ahead of them in the wild card for home field advantage in that game.
Yeah. Another crazy thing about the Twins. They have this young star who's been playing really well, at least to start off. I wouldn't say he's a star, but he started off really well. Jorge Polanco. He has, I think, 9 career home runs, 6 of them against the White Sox. It started in that doubleheader in Chicago. He hit a game. Well, he hit a home run in each game in that series.
You went to one of the games in that series, didn't you? Or did you go to 2?
2 on last Tuesday and Wednesday. I didn't go to the doubleheader.
Did he homer in both of those games?
Yes, he did. He homered Tuesday, he homered Wednesday, and they were crushed. I mean, we're not talking about cheapy home runs. We're talking about no doubters here. And he hit two 2 3-run homers in the doubleheader the day before. And then the Twins are playing the White Sox right now, and I think he had a home run Monday and Tuesday. Jorge Polanco.
That's something. Then throw in Byron Buxton seems to have finally figured it out. He's showing off, his 5 tools. He's got his average up to around 250, 14 home runs. I know he just got a little banged up, except one of the reasons for their resurgence has been he's kind of started to figure it out. He's gotten hot.
Yeah.
And they needed someone to step up because Miguel Sano might be out for the season with that shin injury.
Right. And then, of course, with their pitching, they kind of have Irvin Santana paving the way. He's going deep into ball games, and he's done really well this year.
Right. And along with Jose Barrios has done a nice job since his call-up.
Bartolo's done an okay job, too.
Right, so they've got someone that can get him, another guy that can go 5-6 innings and pave way for the bullpen.
Yeah.
I think the question is who's going to start that game against the Yankees if they end up winning the second wild card. Will it be Santana or Barrios?
Yeah. I would love for the Yankees not to make it because it would be really funny and a lot of people would be mad, including my brother. But
here's
a lot of people would be mad about it.
The Yankees are only 2.5 games ahead of the third-place Angels for the wild card race. It's not a guarantee that they'll make it.
By the way, Baltimore's on a 7-game winning streak, and they're only 2 games back. Manny Machado's going off.
That's another key reason for their resurgence. And also Kevin Gossman has finally started pitching better because he got off to a horrendous start. And once the second half hit, he's been pitching much better. Jeremy Hellickson has done a nice job for them.
Yeah, who would have thought? Jeremy Hellickson.
Right. And the funny thing is, at the time of the trade, they were really far back.
Mm-hmm.
I think they might have had a losing record, and they said the reason that they made that trade was because they needed someone just to get them through the season, to eat some innings.
It turns out. And Tampa Bay still hanging in there, 4 games back. They're 67 and 68. They're hanging in there along with Texas.
Speaking of Tampa Bay, they also made a trade with the Orioles, sending former first overall pick Tim Beckham to the Orioles. And since he's joined the Orioles, he's been hitting, close to 300. He's been hitting for power.
Right.
And now they've got J.J. Hardy coming back, so they're a real threat. I mean, each one of those 6 teams is a realistic shot.
Yeah, Kansas City's not out of it yet. Seattle has more than Kansas City, but Seattle will be interesting.
Kansas City, I don't know if you saw, they got shut out in 4 consecutive innings, and they actually ended up having the 3rd longest scoreless inning streak for an offense.
Yeah, we know who the longest was.
The Cubs were tied with the Phillies for that one.
Yeah, the 68 Cubs got shut out by, I think they got shut out by Sandy Koufax, Bob Gibson, and someone else who was really good. Was 3 of the 4 games that they got shut out.
Right, well, and I think it was the 1916 Phillies was the other one they were tied with. The Royals are just too. I don't think the Royals will.
I would say probably not because where's their pitching? I mean, they really don't have that good.
Well, especially now, Danny Duffy likely won't be pitching again this season, and that's another story for another segment.
Go on to Burger King.
And also, Jason Vargas has not been as good since the second half started.
Right.
Obviously that was expected regression right there. And the Mariners, they definitely have the talent to be able to make a run. Except they've lost 5 in a row, so they've lost quite a bit of ground these past 5 games.
I think they just got swept by Baltimore. So
that
Baltimore
is right. Yep.
Yeah. So it'll be really interesting. My personal pick, just of the teams I like more, I would like Minnesota to make one of them. I think that's a cool story. And then either the Angels or Seattle, something like that would be cool.
All right, we got to make a prediction.
Okay.
It's August 31st. The home stretch is about to begin.
Yeah.
Who are our 2 picks for the American League wild card? I'm going to go with the Twins and the Angels.
Okay. I'm going to go it's really tough. It's hard to not imagine Baltimore there because they've been there like every year.
Right, well, they're in they're in that game the way the Pirates usually are.
Yeah.
Or the Pirates were. See, it's also tough to see the Yankees not making it. I just feel like
I don't know. I feel like the Yankees aren't.
I don't think they will. Not unless Aaron Judge starts figuring out how to hit and their pitching gets better. And also, it doesn't help that Aroldis Chapman has been blowing games.
Right.
And he's been removed from the closer's role. The thing is, they have a bullpen that's built for October. They just need to get there, and the problem is I don't think they're going to.
Yeah, I feel bad for the Angels because of Mike Trout. Like, Trout should be in the postseason every year, and he's not. I'm going to go Minnesota and Baltimore are going to be my picks. You picked Minnesota and the Angels?
I did, yeah.
Okay.
I think the Angels are going to make a big run, and this Justin Upton trade is going to give the whole clubhouse a big boost.
True. I would be happy with that. It would just be funny if the Yankees didn't make it after all the Aaron Judge stuff in the first half and how all the Yankees fans think that they're so good and they were rivaling Boston and all that, and now they've really fallen back down to earth where they belong.
Like Aaron Judge, has fallen back to earth because he's not a 330 hitter. People, he's probably at best 270, 280.
Well, people who were comparing him to Stanton and everything, and Stanton just blew by him and everybody with 51 home runs. I mean, come on.
Well, the thing with Judge, people were acting like, he's a 5.2 player, and I'm like, even, his batting average on balls in play was, unsustainably high, and also no guy that's going to strike out 220 times in a season.
He's guaranteed to strike out at least once per game.
He set the MLB record for consecutive games with a strikeout.
Yeah, that's not good. We're going to take a break. We'll come back, and we'll wrap up all this talk. Also, we'll be talking about the Bears. Mitchell Trubisky getting the start in the 4th preseason game. That game should be starting soon. Does it start at 7? I guess it does.
It does start at 7.
Okay, so
we'll be getting underway right about now.
So we'll talk about that, all the fun at Soldier Field against the Cleveland Browns. That should be exciting. All that next. SportsTownChicago.com. It's the Sports Renegades. The Sports Renegades podcast on SportsTownChicago.com.